All right, guys, I just got out of the movie theater from seeing Terminator Dark Fate. What can I say about this movie? First off, it's over. It's over for the Terminator franchise. And that hurts me to say that because I'm a huge Terminator fan. Now, did this movie have some good moments? Yeah, it had some good moments. But this was a movie that was very unnecessary. We didn't need this version of Terminator. Everything that's been done has been done. There really wasn't anything new that we got out of this movie. Nothing. You know, all they did was replace Skynet with Legion. They replaced John Connor with Danny Ramos. And the John Connor angle, guys, is my biggest problem. Yes, they do. They kill John Connor in the beginning of the movie. It's so disrespectful. So very disrespectful. I just don't know if I can get that image out of my head. What they did to John Connor was just unforgivable. Completely unforgivable. I don't know why James Cameron allowed this to happen, but I did other videos on that because we knew that was coming. But this movie is really nothing more than T1, T2. That was it. And it was a horrible CGI fest. The CGI in this movie is terrible. I got to tell you, that last ending battle that takes place in the Hoover Dam was terrible. I've been in the Hoover Dam myself in person. Seeing it in person is an amazing sight. What we saw in this movie on screen, not so much. It was terrible. And I can't buy into Danny Ramos replacing John Connor. They replaced John Connor for Danny Ramos. I think that's the only reason why this movie was made. Nothing more, because Danny Ramos in the present day, she didn't bother me that much. But when they show her after Judgment Day, because they still call it Judgment Day after the Rise of Legion, there's this one scene with her in the future. It was terrible. I mean, it was like they were trying to force her to be this leader. The acting was terrible by her in that scene. Overall, I think she did okay in the movie, but that one scene, when you actually get to see her with these leadership skills, it fell so flat. Very, very flat. It did nothing for me. Another thing, too, there is not enough Arnold in this movie whatsoever. Just not. About an hour goes by. You don't see Arnold. He shows up and he's a family man. A T-800 is a family man and the kid is calling him dad. I had a bit problem with this. And honestly, to tell you the truth, this is the worst version of the T-800 with Arnold in it out of all the movies. Now, this isn't the worst Terminator movie. This is better than Terminator Genesis. I'll give them that. But this movie is not better than Terminator Salvation. I'm not even sure if this movie is better than Rise of the Machines. But it's definitely not better than Terminator Salvation. Nothing really worked too much in this movie for me. Yes, the individual acting was good. It was so great to see Linda Hamilton back as Sarah Connor. And Sarah Connor, she kind of gives her backstory about what's been going on with her since the events of T2 after John gets killed. She says that she pretty much hunts Terminators and she drinks. Wow, so they turned her into an alcoholic. Gabrielle Luna as the Rev 9 did a solid job. Solid. No Robert Patrick, I can tell you that. The Rev 9 is not the T-1000. Not the T-1000 by a mile. I think what could have helped this movie some if they actually toned down the special effects and the over-the-top action scenes. I mean, that whole Hoover Dam sequence was just so unreal, unbelievable. Everybody should have died in that Hoover Dam scene. They should have. I mean, it was so over the top. almost all of the battles, even the first battle with the Rev 9 that you actually see in the trailer, that's kind of over the top too. And I don't know who approved the trailers for this movie, but you saw the entire movie in the trailer. The whole movie was spoiled in the trailer. I don't know why they allowed that to happen. They should have saved the Rev 9 splitting into two for the movie. I mean, pretty much everything you saw in the trailer happened in the movie. Everything. What else happened? Oh, yes. Let's talk about the political situation at the border. I was actually thinking that that scene would actually be toned down some, but that was a huge scene. It lasted, I want to say the whole border patrol thing had to last about 15 minutes, if not 20. I mean, it got kind of into the political landscape. We saw in the trailer the Rev 9 comes in, infiltrates as a border patrol agent, and he kills in a border patrol facility. But guess what? He only kills the border patrol agents. None of the other illegals that are there locked up, none of them get killed. Think of that. This movie should just, it's over for Terminator. I hate to say that, it is over. I mean, if James Cameron allowed this movie to be made, there is no future whatsoever for Terminator. John Connor's story goes down flat. It ends right there. Sarah Connor, at the end of this movie, I don't think she has much of a future. The T-800, Arnold Schwarzenegger, barely in the movie. I want to say that Arnold is in this movie for about 30, 45 minutes. And he really doesn't captivate the screen. Because I don't think they allowed him to take over the movie like he did in T1 and T2. In T1, he's the ultimate bad guy. Scary. T2, he's a good guy, but he takes over the screen. In this movie, he's a family guy. Doesn't do anything for me. If you've seen the movie, it probably didn't do much for you. This was a disappointment. Not Terminator Genisys disappointment, but considering that James Cameron is back to writing this movie and producing the movie, Tim Miller is directing, this movie's a failure. It is. Now, like I said, I like the individual acting. That was fine. Linda Hamilton was great. Mackenzie Davis's Grace was actually really good in this movie. Really good in this movie. But no, there was really no good story. The story has been told over and over again in T1, T2, even T3. Terminator Genisys, same thing. There's nothing fresh and nothing new with Terminator now. I would say this, if James Cameron can't come back and write, produce, do everything he did with T1 and T2, it needs to end. They need to stop this bleeding. They really need to stop this bleeding. I love Terminator, but it's going down a path I cannot follow. The character assassination of John Connor right at the beginning of the movie. And I give him credit for this. That CGI that they use on Linda Hamilton, Edward Furlong, John Connor, even though that wasn't Edward Furlong, that looked really good. Now the T-800 looked more like Arnold Schwarzenegger from Commando than Terminator. Very different. But overall, the movie just didn't do much for me. The end of the movie was really kind of boring with that whole Hoover Dam sequence. Nothing. It was just too over the top. I like the simplicity of T2 in the steel mill. It wasn't over the top. You can actually see what's going on. But in this movie, the action was just so all over the place. It's kind of hard to keep up and actually see what's going on. This movie was trying to take action to a new level at the sacrifice of the story. Was it woke? Yeah, there's some woke points, some woke stuff in this movie. Definitely. But it needs to end. It's over for Terminator. I don't know what else I can say. This is disappointing. People are saying it's the best movie since T2. I disagree. Terminator Salvation is a better movie. Maybe Terminator 3. But my expectations with James Cameron coming back, I thought it would be better than this. But Terminator movies can only be great when he's 100% involved. If Cameron is not committed to being 100% involved, it needs to end. But that's just my thoughts on this. What are your thoughts on this? Terminator Dark Fate, have you seen it? Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments. If you're new here to the channel, please hit subscribe to catch future videos from me, and we will catch you on the next video. John Matrixx, out.